In a recent video, I went over a bunch of my recommendations of past NBA games that you should watch in order to learn about different aspects of the game's history, and I also shared links to those games in the comments. Well, many of you guys really enjoyed that video and begged me to continue that series, and seeing that I'm like Cap in the sense that
I could do this all day,
I figured I might as well drop another batch of recommendations with today's video. Again, you can find links to all of these games in the pinned comment below. Let's take a look at one game from an absolute classic series, Game 3 of the 2001 Eastern Conference Semifinals between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors. This series featured many amazing solo battles between Allen Iverson and a prime Vince Carter. But I'm recommending this game specifically so you can see the dazzling abilities of the one they called Half Man, Half Amazing. Without spoiling too much, this was likely the greatest performance of Vince Carter's amazing career, as he was torching the net from just about everywhere on the court. If you're looking for a performance that will give you a greater appreciation for Vinsanity, then this game is for you. On January 22, 2006, Kobe Bryant scored 81 points against the Toronto Raptors. But unfortunately, that performance happened on the same night as one of the greatest regular season games in NBA history, which of course overshadowed that game. On that same evening, Ray Allen and the Seattle Supersonics were taking on Steve Nash and the Phoenix Suns. The stars must have aligned on that night, because offense was clearly the theme of the NBA on that day, and both teams utterly exploded offensively. The game was extremely close throughout, as there was a whopping 16 ties and 21 lead changes in this epic game. I won't completely spoil it, but you'll want to watch this one to the very end, as it had a legendary ending coming from a legendary clutch player. Next up, Lakers vs. Blazers in the 2006 to 2007 NBA regular season. Let's be real, it wouldn't be a Johnny Arnett video if I didn't mention Kobe's name at least once. This was the first game of the Mamba's historic stretch where he scored at least 50 points in 4 straight contests, and without question, this one was his most impressive. This was absolute peak Black Mamba in the sense that Kobe was refusing to pass the ball to his teammates like Smush Parker and Luke Walton, and was instead forcing up insanely difficult shots and burying them with regularity. This was also a very close match with plenty of late game heroics. If you need a game to witness just how utterly indefensible Kobe was at his very best, then this was the game for you. Next is Game 2 of the 1991 NBA Finals. This was a highly anticipated finals matchup between Magic Johnson and the Lakers and Michael Jordan and his Bulls. After the Lakers had won the first game, the narrative in the media was that Magic is the leading team player that wins all the championships, while Michael is simply the scoring leader who can't win at all. What ensued was one of the greatest solo performances of all time. Everybody knows about Michael Jordan's iconic hand switch layup, but what's often forgotten is how Jordan was utterly losing his mind up to that moment, as he had one of the hottest hands that had ever been seen in the finals. If you want to see peak MJ doing his thing, while witnessing the game that most historians see as the passing of the torch from Magic to Michael, then this is the contest you're looking for. Next up is the 2015 to 2016 regular season match between the Golden State Warriors and the Oklahoma City Thunder. You all know this iconic game. It's one of the most famous shots in Steph Curry's career, with one of the most memorable calls from the all-time great commentator Mike Breen. The thing is, this game was so much more exciting than simply that final highlight. Quite frankly, it was one of the best games of that entire year, as Curry had a shooting performance for the ages, while the Thunder were doing everything they could to put out the fire. If you were not fortunate enough to be watching this recent classic as it took place, then I definitely recommend you go back and enjoy it. The 2007 to 2008 opening night between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Houston Rockets. Not only was this an incredible game, but it was jam-packed with drama. Kobe had demanded a trade in the off-season leading up to that game, as he was frustrated at the lack of talented support after back-to-back first-round exits at the hands of the Phoenix Suns. The Los Angeles crowd was so frustrated at Kobe that they were booing him in Staples Center during player introductions, while the Mamba went on to have an incredible game, and by the end of the night, they were chanting his name. This contest was jam-packed with memorable moments, as Tracy McGrady scored possibly the most ridiculous field goal in NBA history, and the final 2 minutes had a comeback for the ages, capped off with clutch shots down the stretch. Whether you're a Laker fan or a Laker hater, this is a good one to check out. Next up is Cavaliers vs. Bucks and a regular season matchup in February of 2009. This is one of the most underappreciated LeBron James performances of his career, and honestly, I bet many of his younger fans don't even know this happened. Not only does LeBron go on to have one of his greatest scoring performances of all time, but during a 4-minute stretch, he had one of the most unconscious, in-the-zone moments that I've ever seen in the game of basketball. Some may consider LeBron as a pass-first player, but he certainly wasn't on this night, as he was taking heat-check shots that would make even Kobe blush. It's definitely a must-see game if you consider yourself a LeBron fan. Next up, Game 4 of the 1987 NBA Finals. This was the final playoff series between Los Angeles and Boston in the 1980s, and it was certainly one to remember. In a way, this game perfectly summed up the fantastic rivalry between these two squads, as the emotion and intensity was extremely high, while both superstars, Magic and Bird, were trading clutch baskets down the stretch. If you want to witness the greatest team rivalry in NBA history in all of its competitive glory, then certainly click the link to this game. Next is the 2001 All-Star Game. Maybe you're craving a bit more of a fun exhibition match where the heat of the competition doesn't really crank up until the fourth quarter. Simply put, this All-Star Game is one of the greatest that the league has ever seen. In truth, it's the perfect example of what most of us are hoping for when it comes to All-Star Game intensity. You had the stars, the highlights, and the showboating for a solid 3 quarters. But when it was winning time, the best players locked in, with an array of clutch baskets in the game's most crucial moments. Maybe you're looking for something even more old school. How about Game 7 of the 1969 NBA Finals between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics? There's tons of important context to this matchup. For one, the Lakers had been losing to the Celtics constantly in the 1960s, and had yet to beat them in the NBA Finals. Yet the Lakers owner, Jack Kent Cooke, was so confident that this was finally their year that he predicted a Game 7 victory heading into that matchup. Meanwhile, it was the final season of Bill Russell's legendary career, so ending his playing days with a Game 7 victory and yet another NBA championship would be the ultimate storybook ending. It's a hard-fought, close game throughout, and if you watch this one, you'll probably earn a greater appreciation for two legends specifically, Jerry West and Bill Russell. So those are my suggestions. What are yours? I look forward to hearing your picks in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.